We have finished with the discussion with reference to the banking. We have to start talking about the functions of banks. Within functions of banks, the functions are been divided into two parts, that is primary functions and the secondary or allied functions. In the primary functions, the banks do provide the loans to the people who are in requirements, and they accept the deposits from the people who are having the savings. Basically, banking is very much important from the perspective of any and every country, because banking would bring in the kind of mobilization of savings in the market. Why or what is this mobilization of savings? Understand carefully. Suppose there is this person who is sitting in a town. Let's say Jay Zare is there, who is sitting in the town, and Jay Zare is having an amount of say 50,000 in savings. Right? Jay, tu kahan se hai proper? Kya town hai tera? Barshi. So Jay is having 50,000 rupees at Barshi. Right? Suppose there is this person. Athar, tera town kya hai? Athar, कोल्हापुर, ये कौन सा गांव नया बनाया क्या रे? अतर is located at Kolhapur, right? Now Atharv is starting a new business activity, and for that purpose Atharv requires 50,000 rupees. Jay sitting at Barshi is having 50,000 rupees. Atharv sitting at Kolhapur is having the requirement of 50,000 rupees. Even though Jay could send the money to Atharv, फिर भी वो अथर्व के बारे में कुछ हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी कुछ नहीं जानता है, इसीलिए he is not ready to give that 50,000. कल को अथर्व अगर पैसा लेके भाग गया, etc., etc. So for that purpose comes the very important intermediary, that is the bank. What this bank does, takes this 50,000 from Jay and keeping some part, let's say 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, based on the CRR, SLR, etc., give an amount of 45,000 rupees or say 40,000 rupees to Athar. Athar जिसका requirement 50 का था, उसमें से 40 तो उसको already मिल चुका है. So by that way he can start his own activity or not. So this is why it becomes the primary function for the banking industry, that is acceptance of deposits, and providing loans, lending money. These two become the prominent, most important functions of a bank. All right. Now, within this, the acceptance of deposit, the bank can accept the term deposits, or the banks can accept the demand deposits. Term deposit means what? For a specific term, the funds will remain with the bank and the bank will not be giving that money back to you. And if you are asking for the money earlier, then bank reduces your rate of interest in that case. Bank levies certain penalties on that. So in these term deposits, which are also called as the time deposits as given in the text, you can have a fixed deposit or you can have a recurring deposit. क्योंकि पहले वाली करी खराब हो गई थी, इसलिए हमने करी वापस से बना रहे हैं, तो रिकरिंग, So recurring deposit and fixed deposit. Whereas demand deposit means what? Where the funds can be demanded at any point in time without, of course, during the banking hours, without waiting for a particular period of time. That's why those are called as the demand deposits. Within that demand deposit, you have savings bank account, क्योंकि हम कभी भी एटीएम पे जाके पैसा विड्रॉ कर सकते हैं. That's why it is demand deposit. And current account. So this is how it is divided into the different types of deposits when it comes to the different deposits of the banks in the primary function of the bank, acceptance of deposits. Whereas in lending, the banks can provide based on term. The loans can be provided based on term. It can be provided based on security. Generally, all the loans which are provided by the bank are the secured loans, but there are certain personal loans which are absolutely unsecured. So within term loan, you have short-term loans like bank overdraft, etc. You have mid-term loans like cash credit, etc. And you have long-term loans, that is the term loan which we actually say कि आपने एक बार लोन ले लिया और उसका आप लोग रीपेमेंट ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम करते रहोगे. Based on security, it can be secured or it can be unsecured loans. Am I right? So this is how you make the distinction, division, in fact, not distinction, of the different types of loans. I'm not going to read this text. It is quite clear and simple. LAP is a long-term loan, of course, because it is loan against property. Generally, the loan which is taken against property, which you call as LAP, is normally for the long term. If you are taking the loan against shares, LAS, loan against securities, or loan against shares, those are the short-term loans or the mid-term loans and not the long-term loans. Am I right? Do you want me to read these all? Or I can go ahead? Atharv, should I read it? Long term matlab kitne saal? Long term can be a period of 3 years, it can be a period of 5 years, it can be a period of 20 years. So it depends from project to project. It depends from situation to situation, whether the loan is long term or short term. Cash credit, Harshad, cash credit is basically the reverse of your current account. रिवर्स ऑफ करंट अकाउंट मींस व्हाट? करंट अकाउंट में नॉर्मली क्या होता है, आप एक पर्टिकुलर अमाउंट डिपॉजिट करते हो और फिर आप वो पैसा विड्रॉ करते रहते हो टू द एक्सटेंट यू हैव गॉट द डिपॉजिट डन. Whereas cash credit is reverse of it. What bank does is bank provides you a particular limit. Up till this limit you can keep withdrawing the money and can keep depositing the money back into it. अब इससे क्या होगा कि करंट अकाउंट में जब तक आप पैसे डिपॉजिट नहीं करते तब तक विड्रॉ नहीं कर सकते थे. यहाँ पे पहले आप पैसे विड्रॉ कर रहे हो एंड यू कैन डिपॉजिट इट. जब हम टर्म लोन की बात करते हैं तो उसमें से भी ऐसे ही होता है, पहले पैसा विड्रॉ होता है फिर डिपॉजिट होता है. बट द पॉइंट इज व्हाट, इन द केस ऑफ टर्म लोन्स वंस यू हैव रीपेड द अमाउंट यू कैन नॉट विड्रॉ इट अगेन. But from the cash credit, you can withdraw the money again till the time you are given the limit. So that's the cash credit for you. Is it clear, Harshad? Yeah, if anyone else has any kind of question with reference to these all. So let's come ahead now to the secondary functions. Now, within secondary functions of commercial banks, it has been further divided into agency and utility. Agency means what? Now, if you take the example of bill of exchange, you are the drawer of bill, right? There is another person who is the drawee in the bill. Now, on the due date, you do not have the time to collect the money from your drawee. So what you do, you appoint a bank for collecting that money from the drawee. So drawer gives this bill of exchange to, this is bill of exchange. Drawer gives this bill of exchange to bank for collection. And bank will go to the drawee, collect the money and give it to the account of drawer. This is how that agency function works. Similar to that, आपके electricity bill payments के लिए, similar to that, आपके कोई mutual fund के payments के लिए, या फिर अगर आपको कहीं से income आने वाली है, तो they collect those incomes on behalf of you. And generally, for these kind of services, the banks do not make any kind of charges, except the situation where they are collecting the dividend for, sorry, where they are collecting the bills for you at your own request. Mutual fund payments के लिए, electricity payment के लिए, they do not charge you anything because it is an automatized kind of system now. There is something called as ECS, electronic clearing system, within which they work on this all. All right. Then in some of the banks, they provide the portfolio management services as well. Now, what is this portfolio management? Understand carefully. When you are having a certain amount of funds or securities available with you, but you do not have the sufficient time. Yes, Tanishka, overdraft is like cash credit only. You do not have the sufficient time to manage those funds, or you do not have the sufficient time to manage those securities, buying and selling of that securities. In such case, in such situation, what banks do is they provide you the services they can. In fact, for this, there are the exclusive professionals available, but the banks also in the current date are providing these kind of services. So what they do, they collect the funds from you and then they open a separate account in your name and they deposit the money into that account and can purchase or sell the securities, shares, bonds, debentures, etc. on your behalf. And for that purpose, they will be charging certain fee called as portfolio management service fee. Again, if you'd observe, this is a kind of agent being appointed for the purpose of carrying out the activities or not. मैं खुद भी ये काम कर सकता था, but I have requested the bank to do it, and that's why I'm asking the banks, because they are having expertise, they are having the better knowledge, they are exclusively involved into that, and that's why they will be performing that portfolio management, I'm sorry, portfolio management service for me. So due to this facility, more clients are opting for such services of the commercial banks. In fact, commercial banks से इतनी सारी services नहीं ली जाती हैं, to be very frank. The exclusive professionals which are available, they are carrying out the activities of portfolio management. Now, what is the difference between portfolio management and mutual fund? Mutual fund, they do not ask what is your choice. In the portfolio management, they will be asking for your choice. In mutual fund, you make the investment into the open-ended running schemes, जहां schemes already चल रही हैं या फिर already planned है और उसी में आप जाके investment करते हो. Whereas in the portfolio management, you have got the exclusive services being provided to you. In the case of mutual fund, generally the charges are not levied on quarterly or yearly basis. There is something called as entry load, exit load, that depends on the kind of fund that you are dealing with. Whereas in the portfolio management, you'll always be having the situation of the fees to be paid for the purpose of management. So that's the point of difference between mutual fund and the portfolio management. Portfolio management is more exclusive, a kind of niche service available from the particular person to a particular person. All right? मतलब वो तुम नेटफ्लिक्स पे मूवी चल रही है और उस समय पे तुम उसको स्विच ऑन करके बैठ गए तो यू आर इन म्यूचुअल फंड, पर टाटा स्काई पे स्पेशल तुमने तुम्हारे लिए मूवी ऑर्डर की है तो दैट इज पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट। एम आई राइट जय? तो तुम्हारी भाषा में समझाऊंगा तो थोड़ा जल्दी समझ में आ जाएगा। यस, फंड ट्रांसफर। नाउ व्हाट इज दिस फंड ट्रांसफर? आज की तारीख में ये सबसे ज्यादा यूज होने वाली कंसेप्ट है। मैं कहीं पे भी खड़ा रहता हूं, मुझे अगर किसी को 50 रुपए ट्रांसफर करने हैं, 100 रुपए ट्रांसफर करने हैं, मैं उतना ही ट्रांसफर करूंगा। तुम लोगों को 10,000 रुपए ट्रांसफर करने हैं, 50,000 रुपए ट्रांसफर करने हैं, तुम लोग उतना कर सकते हो। So in that case, instead of going to a particular bank, going to a particular branch, I can directly do it through my bank's online portals. Commercial banks provide the facility of fund transfer from one branch to another, one bank to another. Commercial banks come with various initiatives to make these transactions hassle-free. Today, those are literally hassle-free, not only because of the Bheem, Google Pay, etc. Those are hassle-free because the online systems, the CBS, core banking systems, have evolved, have developed like anything. The next one is dematerialization. Of course, there are the banks who are having the exclusive departments for this, wherein they maintain the securities in the dematerialized form for you. See, in our country, there are primarily two depositories, CDSL and NSDL. Central Depository for Securities Limited and National Securities Depository Limited. These are the two depositories that we have in our country. Depositories means what? The people who are holding the securities on your behalf. But these two organizations alone cannot cater to the needs of every individual. And for that purpose, what these CDSL and NSDL have done, they have appointed their agents as banks and other NBFCs, being bank or NBFC. So if I am having the demat account with, let's say, IDBI, demat, my securities are not held by IDBI. IDBI is having the sub account with CDSL or NSDL. So what will happen? I am having the account with IDBI and IDBI is having the account with CDSL or NSDL. And by that way, they are allowing me, who? IDBI is allowing me to purchase and sell the securities, and they are maintaining the account. They are maintaining the demat account for it. So this is how that particular thing works. So banks provide dematerialization services to their clients to hold their securities. Hold their securities. They are not buying or selling. Portfolio management mein they are buying and selling, but in the case of the dematerialization services, they are only holding the securities on my behalf. On behalf of clients, it undertakes the electronic transfer of shares in case of purchase or sell. तो परचेस और सेल मैं इनिशिएट करता हूं, और मेरे परचेज सेल इनिशिएट करने के बाद में वो मेरे डीमैट अकाउंट को डेबिट या क्रेडिट करते हैं. व्हेन आई परचेज द शेयर्स आई एम गेटिंग दो, सो दे विल क्रेडिट माय अकाउंट. the demat account. And when I'm selling those, they will debit my demat account for that particular transaction. Am I going good? बहुत सारे लोग तो सो गए लग रहा है. Can you people give me the attendance? All raise hands. उधर अपने विंडो पे नहीं, इधर तुम्हारा पार्टिसिपेंट का जिधर रहता है ना उधर. कितने लोगों ने रेज हैंड नहीं किया मुझे देखने दो. ये लोग जो सुबह चालू करके चले जाते हैं ना. आर्या बोरा, अदिति भराड़े, अद्वैत, हेमंत, पायस, तेजस, कहां से आते हैं ये लोग? हेमंत इज सेइंग अनेबल टू रेज द हैंड. तेरे हाथों में भी टाके आए करे कि नासा वालों ने तेरा हाथ टाक दिया? अच्छा, वीडियो ऑफ है इस वजह से, नो प्रॉब्लम. हाँ, नींद से उठ के आते हैं ये लोग, सिर्फ वीडियो ऑन करके बैठ जाते हैं, है ना? पार्थ किधर है तू? नहीं है, भाग गया वो, चार्ली के साथ घूमने गया है. Okay, so that is what we call as the dematerialization services. Again, why it is included? सिर्फ आपको observe क्या करना है? What you are supposed to observe is you are supposed to understand कि अगर बैंक मुझे एजेंसी सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रही है, मतलब बैंक is an agent for me. If you'd have observed whatever transactions we talked about, in all those cases, bank is working in the form of an agent only, isn't it? Then comes the forex transactions. Forex transactions here means what? They are buying and selling the foreign currency for you. If you are going to a place outside India, for that purpose you need certain funds. So those funds that is in the foreign currency, those funds in the foreign currency may be provided to you by these commercial banks. The forex is an abbreviation for the foreign exchange. A bank may purchase or sell the foreign exchange on behalf of its clients. A bank purchases forex from its clients, which the clients receive from foreign transactions, and sell the forex when the clients need it for the overseas transactions. अभी मैं simple सा example दूं तो now that we have been doing that Zoom ka account recording, Zoom ka account that we have to buy on a regular basis, मुझे हर मंथ उसे X amount देनी पड़ती है, but I'm never giving that X amount in the rupee terms. That X amount is going in the dollars, somewhere around $200 to $50, depends from the point to point. तो $200-250 जो ये बैंक को, सॉरी, जो ये कंपनी को जा रही है, that is paid by my bank. So what they are doing, they're selling that foreign currency to me, and I am paying that to the given organization. That's how they are working as an agent for me in buying and selling the foreign currency. What are the utility functions? जहां बैंक हमें एडिशनल यूटिलिटी प्रोवाइड कर रही है in addition to our normal features, in which the very first is issuance of drafts and checks. If I want to transact through the bank, the core area in that is the checks. Why? क्योंकि अगर मेरे पैसे बैंक में पड़े हैं और मुझे किसी और व्यक्ति को वो पैसा पहुंचाना है, तो I cannot go to the bank every time, withdraw the money and give it to him. आजकल ऑनलाइन का फैसिलिटी है, but everyone is not accepting online. So in that case, we can issue the checks or drafts. Now these checks or drafts we receive from the banks. So bank is increasing its utility through that or not? Therefore, it is covered into the utility function. A draft or check is an order to pay money from one branch of bank to another branch of the same or the other bank. A bank issues draft to its account holders as well as non-account holders, whereas checks are issued only to the account holders. The bank charges commission for issuing the bank draft. Checks जब आपको issue होते हैं तो उस समय पे वो कोई भी commission charge नहीं करते हैं because they levy a separate annual maintenance charges. इसलिए वो आपको चेकबुक के लिए किसी भी तरह का पैसा नहीं लगाते हैं. नया चेकबुक लेने के लिए चार्जेस लगाते हैं क्या? That's what I just explained. That they are not charging you the money for the new checkbook. हाँ, savings account में they have put the restriction, some of the banks, and in the savings account they can ask you for the money if you are asking for the checkbooks more than what has been warranted by your account. Locker facility, these are also called as vaults. आपके पास कोई जरूरत की सामान होते हैं, आपके पास कोई बहुमूल्य सामान होते हैं. इन बहुमूल्य सामानों को जैसे कि गोल्ड, ज्वेलरी, कैश एक्सेट्रा, for that purpose you need some strong, some kind of secure place, and that strong and secure place is basically what you call as the locker or vault, which is the facility provided by the banks these days. These days क्या बहुत दिनों से प्रोवाइड करते हैं. What's the difference between demand draft and bank draft? It's one and the same thing, सिद्धि. आपकी जानकारी के लिए बता दूं, there are certain organizations which are surviving only on this locker facility. There is this organization which I have mentioned earlier also called as Buldhana Credit Cooperative Society. Now this Buldhana Urban Credit Cooperative Society at Prabhat Road branch, they are having approximately 1,300 lockers with them. 1,300 lockers multiplied by, अगर इनको एवरेज साल का सिर्फ 5,000 रुपए भी रेंट मिलता है, so that goes to 65 lakh rupees in the form of locker rent. Their major revenue is coming from the locker rents, in fact. And बंदा बाकी सब चुका सकता है, बाकी सब में डिफॉल्ट कर सकता है, बट लॉकर रेंट पे करने में कभी भी डिफॉल्ट नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि मैंने अगर लॉकर रेंट पे नहीं किया तो मुझे लॉकर ओपन करने के लिए नहीं मिलेगा. So that's why that locker facility becomes a very important utility, and that is why it is included in the utility function. Then project reports, there are very limited number of banks who does this. A bank may prepare the project reports and feasibility studies on behalf of its clients. Nowadays, these things are not done by the banks because these things are already been performed by the experts, the professionals into that. गिफ्ट चेक्स की जगह आजकल गिफ्ट कार्ड्स दिए जाते हैं. जैसा हमारा एटीएम कार्ड होता है उसी तरह का कार्ड दिया जाता है. पहले चेक के फॉर्मेट में दिया रहता है. प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट क्या होता है? किसी भी बिजनेस के फाइनेंशियल फिजिबिलिटी को चेक करने के लिए जो चीज बनाई जाती है, दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट, in which we mention what is the business all about, how the business will be carried, what are the functions of this business, who are the people carrying out this business activity, and then we include the financials, the projected financials of the particular project also, and that all put together, the bunch of it is called as the project report. Am I clear? अब क्या होता है कि आप जाके कैश दे के आ जाओ किसी को, तो वो बंदा कैश ठीक से यूज कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है, उस तक के कैश पहुंच रही है या नहीं पहुंच रही है, becomes a question. So instead of that, why not to issue the gift check or gift cards? आजकल जो गिफ्ट कार्ड्स के फॉर्मेट में इशू होते हैं can be used by the clients for the purpose of gifting on occasions like wedding, birthdays, etc. But please remember these gift checks और गिफ्ट का, मुझे याद है एक हमारे सप्लायर थे तिरुपुर में, he could not reach to my marriage and therefore he had sent the gift checks later on, कि कैश एनवेलप में डाल के दे देगा, एनवेलप ही गायब हो जाए तो. Instead of that, he had sent the gift checks which we could encash from the bank. So those are the kind of checks written in the name of the person which can be deposited into the account or which can directly be withdrawn from the respective bank branch also. Then underwriting services. Now this underwriting service is basically linked to the issuance of shares. जब भी कोई कंपनी अपने शेयर्स मार्केट में लाती है तो उनको हमेशा एक रिस्क होता है कि उनके सारे शेयर्स मार्केट में बिकेंगे या नहीं. In such case, to protect from that risk, the banks provide this service. In fact, this should be covered in the agency service also, because these underwriters are called as underwriting agents. A commercial bank can underwrite the issue of shares issued by the company. Why? Because कल को अगर पब्लिक ने आपकी कंपनी के सारे शेयर्स नहीं उठाए तो these underwriters will be taking up those shares. In that case, the underwriters will be getting the commission for that particular service. So the shares are not fully subscribed. The underwriting bank agrees to take up the unsubscribed portion. Unsubscribed मतलब जितने शेयर्स मार्केट में नहीं उठाए गए, नहीं खरीदे गए, जिसके लिए एप्लीकेशन नहीं मिली, that is called as unsubscribed portion of the securities, and they will surely be getting the commission for this underwriting process. Then gold related services. आजकल gold funds, gold ETFs ये बहुत सारे प्रचलित हो चुके हैं. Against that, they will not only be selling those to you, they can also provide the advisory against that. बहुत ही कम banks ऐसा करती हैं, again because the consultants are available. बंदा बैंक तक के जाता ही नहीं है ऐसी चीजों के लिए. Nowadays, many banks are providing gold services to its customers. Banks are commercially buying and selling gold or gold ornaments from customers on large scale basis. Please understand, gold loan is a different thing and buying and selling the gold is a different thing. If you take the example of Muthoot kind of company, Muthoot Group, those companies not only give the loans, but they also buy and sell the gold. Some bank also provides advisory to its customers in terms of gold funds or gold ETF. ऐसा बहुत कम बैंक करती हैं जैसा मैंने कहा, but still there are certain manager level people who are doing these kind of activities. So this is about the different functions of bank. You've talked about primary functions and secondary functions. The next part that we have to talk about is the e-banking services, and that e-banking services will be continuing on Monday. म्हणजे सोमवारी पण आपला लेक्चर आहे बर का. So that is it. Thank you, Atharv. I try, whenever I'm taking OCM, I try to bring in more and more practical kind of options in that, so that it becomes more interesting, more simpler for us to understand the things, right? Tomorrow's test timing and how it will be done will be uploading, or sorry, will be sending on the WhatsApp group. That's it for the day. We will meet on Monday. Thank you.